Hi Quilt Escape fans, we're back. We're going to show you today one of your options for block 12. This is called left, right, center. And this is really a fun and very easy block. So if you want a fun, easy block, this is it. I wanted you to notice how the blocks just rotate around the different arrows. Some are going to the right, some are going to the left, and we have a center pile. So if you've never played left, right, center at Quilt Escape, what we do is bring fat quarters or strips or squares, and we roll the dice, and then you throw it into the center and or pass it to your person on the left or the right, and eventually somebody winds up with the whole pile. So that's a fun game to play with scraps and fat quarters and strips. That's why we wanted to do this block. The main thing I wanted you to notice about this block is I have two different blues. See, the blues are different. The reds, even though the value is similar, are two different red prints. The background is all the same. Then my little 9 patch is the lighter green and the center is dark. Now, after saying that, I want you to know that we need to mark all of these 3-inch background squares with one single line down the center from corner to corner. So I'm just going to demonstrate that again with the tool. And because it's a 3-inch, I can line up right on the 3-inch line and just keep going. And in fact, the next one would be the 6-inch line, so it works out really well. All right, after you've marked all 8 of your background squares, the next thing I want you to do is to put them right sides together with your rectangles. And this is what I want you to pay attention to. I picked the color that I wanted to be on the outside of the block. I picked red. The outside rectangle is going to point to the right. So that's the reason why this line is going to the right. Now on the blue, the arrows are going to point to the left. So it's red to the right and blue to the left. And that is the most important thing. If you would sew them all in the same direction, then you're not going to get this look. So that's what you want to do on your board. When you're doing this, you can chain sew them, and one right after another, and there'll be 8 total rectangles and squares. So just for a little practice and an example, I'm going to put these through, and we're going to sew the red ones now. And I do have a little cloth leader. I'm sinking my needle, and you know why, because I don't want my fabric to get pulled down into the machine. We've been talking about this, and that is the main reason we use that leader. So I'm just going to go right back in here, and because I'm following it up with another square, I don't have to worry about that. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the threads between the colors. You would do all 4, and then I'm going to bring in the blues. I'll just take off that leader and use that again. Okay, here we go. Put that down. Make sure when you do put these in and they're right sides together, they sometimes will slide. So try to make sure they're lined up right against the edges of your square or your rectangle. Your square and your rectangle need to be lined up. You're sewing on the line. The other day I looked at one of my videos, and I think I was just in such a hurry to do the video, I definitely was not sewing on the line, because I'm trying to look at you on the camera and say hi. So, got to pay attention when you're sewing. But you won't have that problem. All right, we're going to cut the threads in between and then we're going to press them. And I'll show you how to make these units. The units are basically all going to be made the same. And we're going to do the pressing before I cut. And I have a reason for that. I'll pull this over. So I'm going to press these newly formed triangles down and make sure they line up with my outside edges. Let me grab these red ones and then we'll pretty much have them all. And we can start putting them together. Now I know you don't want the extra bulk, but what I want you to make sure of is that you've got the full size of the rectangle. Sometimes it'll actually go over the edge, see? A little bit of the light is showing on the other side. So I'm safe to go ahead and trim this one off. It's plenty big. And if I would need to square this up, I could. All right, I'm going to just hop up here and measure this off. And like I said, this is a 5.5 inch rectangle. As long as I'm getting a 3 inch wide by 5.5, I'm good to go. So that's what I'm looking for. Then you want to reduce the bulk and go ahead and just trim this out. Okay? Now what I want to do now is get a couple of blue ones for you so that I can put it together. And you can see a unit. Okay, we'll get one more. They're looking pretty good. This is super simple sewing. It's not difficult sewing. The only thing that I caution you about is that when you put these back together, maybe I'll bring this board back and show you what I'm talking about. Now you see, I'll do this block in the upper right-hand corner or left-hand corner. So that means I'm going to turn that one, well that would be this blue, sorry, this blue, and this red. And I'm just going to show it to you before I sew it. So this is what it would look like. Now I'm going to go ahead and put one on top of the other and feed it through. Okay. Make sure these little rectangles are lined up. You notice I'm not pinning this because I don't really have any connecting seams that I'm going to sew across. I'm just focused on that 1/4 inch and getting that 1/4 inch. Now you could press your seam open if you want. This should be a 5.5 inch square when it's sewn. So let's say I decide to press it to one side, and in this case I press it to the blue. All I have to do is put this on the board and let's see if I'm coming out at my 5.5, and it looks very good. So as long as I'm coming out at that proper size, I'm going to go ahead and go with pressing it over. Okay? Now, this is this part of the block. But I am going to walk it around to the other side and show you that there's no rocket science when you put these together. as long as you put it together this way, you can sew all 4 of them the exact same way. Again, pointing to the right, pointing to the left. So you could stage up all of them on your boards and do it the same exact way. So it would be, there's the right. I'll just turn it so you can see what I'm saying. This is the other set, and this is pointing to the left. So I can go ahead and sew this, and in fact all of them the exact same way, and it's going to fit around. Then the only thing left to sew are your little squares. Again, these little 2 squares are joined, and that's your in between. These two, and these 2. And then there's a center. So you will wind up going back to the old 9-patch format, where this is the center row, this is the top row, and this is the bottom row. So you'll have these blocks joined by 2 squares and these blocks joined by 2 squares. And then your center row, and you've got left, right, center. All right, I'll be back with you in a few minutes, and we're going to do friendship threads.